Rev up your engines!
There are three major automakers who may team up to help themselves build cheaper EVs to compete with the rest of the EV world that presently seems to be starting to fall apart anyways. Well, guess what these three companies are? Volkswagen, Renault, and Stellantis. All right? Now, I wouldn't buy one of their regular cars. They're rolling piles of plastic crap. I certainly wouldn't buy an all-electric car that these companies make. Here we go again. We get like three stooges of auto manufacturing, and they think, well, maybe we'll get together so we can make cheap EVs together, share our technology, right? I wouldn't buy a Volkswagen. I wouldn't buy a Stellantis product. I certainly would not buy a Renault product. So basically, these people are scrambling thinking bigger is better. All I gotta say is, if you have three piles of garbage and you put them together, you will have a bigger pile of garbage, but it's not something that I would buy or advise anybody to buy. The problem is, Chinese competition would eat them alive because they can make them better and cheaper, right? And Tesla's been around long enough that they got a certain fan base that's buying the Tesla cars, right? Volkswagen, Stellantis, they're slagging so far behind with electric cars, they think, oh, let's get together and we'll share. All I have to say is every time these companies share stuff, it's generally a gigantic mess. Look at the previous one Renault was involved in. Renault, Nissan, and Mitsubishi. Renault recently got rid of most of their ownership of Nissan that they had. That worked out great. Remember Carlos Ghosn, who was the head of Nissan, and he had to sneak out of Japan in a box on an airplane to go back to Lebanon or someplace because they were taking him to court in Japan, right? I mean, these mixtures of companies, they don't work, especially three relatively poorly manufacturing companies to begin with. I just find it hilarious, you know. They're scrambling over all this electric stuff. One, they don't even know what they're doing to begin with. And then, oh, let's all combine our stuff together because this is getting to be too complicated. All these companies banded together. It never works, especially when they're three bad companies. Look, years ago in the United States, Sears and Kmart merged, right? Oh boy, that worked out great. Sears and Kmart, they're both kind of falling apart, right? They merged. Did it do anything any good? Not really. Zone 264 says, I got a 2016 Jeep Compass that says the high temperature on the gauge. It's a 2016 Compass 2-liter. Temperature reads on the third white line. I got a new radiator cap. It didn't help. Now, there is a million reasons a vehicle can get too hot. You can watch my video, How to Fix an Overheating Car, Scotty. Watch it on YouTube. It'll show you every possible thing that can go wrong and how to test them all. Here's one thing you can do is start it up first thing in the morning and watch the temperature right away. Does it go up a little and then come back down? Normally, thermostats will allow it. It'll come back up a little bit high and then come down and then stay right in the middle. That shows you that the thermostat got hot, then it opened and it stayed in the middle. If you see that you turn it on and it just keeps going and it never drops down, thermostat, start there. Start with a simple thing. Because, I mean, it can get blowing head gasket. You can have all kinds of problems, leaks. You'd have to pressure test it. My video shows how to do it all. But watch what I said. And if you see the temperature gauge just keeps going up and it never does a dip, just keeps going up, odds are you can change both thermostats, and I would. Modern cars are so complex. At Clover 68 says, should I buy a 19-year-old Lexus that's sat for 3 years? A client of mine wants to know if I'd purchase their 05 Lexus ES330 for $2,000. It's 33,000 miles. It's sat for 3 years because the owner can't drive anymore. I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. What do you think? If that's all real, jump on the deal. If you can get a Lexus ES330 that only has 33,000 miles on it, definitely, and you see the guy can't drive, something happened to him, had a physical disability, it doesn't matter that it's sat for 3 years. It's a Lexus. That's not really going to hurt anything, right? I mean, you'd have to get new gasoline, of course. You might have to drain the tank and fill it up with new gas, but probably not even that. I've seen them sit longer than that. If you know the guy, you said it's a client of yours, and it's all real. You know, he's been disabled for 3 years and he couldn't drive it. Jump on that baby. $2,000. Better than the deal I got for my wife's ES300. I paid $3,000 for that, and it had 65,000. This only has 33. Jump on that deal. You're not gonna find it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. Jump on it. Warren Case says, should I use Seafoam in my Honda? Is Seafoam safe to add to the fuel tank of a 2011 Honda CR-V? I personally wouldn't. I do not like Seafoam, and here's the reason why. Seafoam, you think, why is it called Seafoam? Originally, it was made for like the 1940s for putting in two-stroke outboard motor engines. engines, hence Seafoam. Those are two-strokers. You have to mix oil with the gas in a two-stroke engine to lubricate the engine because of its design. The oil is just sprayed in with the gasoline to lubricate stuff, right? Seafoam, it's basically, a lot of it is kerosene. It isn't oil. It's oil-based, right? You don't want to put an oil-based thing in a gas tank of any modern car. They got catalytic converters, oxygen sensors, right? They're not made for it. I know people buy the heck out of Seafoam. People believe in the name. The companies pay a lot of money to these auto parts stores so that when you're at the corner of an aisle or even right at the counter, they might have cartons of Seafoam. They're paid to push that stuff, and they push it, and people buy it because it's there. I do not advise mixing it with your gas tank because it is a type of oil, and you're not supposed to put any type of oil in your gas tank because you have catalytic converters. Oil can ruin oxygen sensors. I do not advise doing it. Modern cleaners have gone way past what Seafoam uses. They're nitrogen-based cleaners. My friend Bernie has his own cleaner in his ATS cleaner that works great. You pour it in the gas tank, but I would not put Seafoam in a gas tank. In any modern car. I mean, you got a 64 Mustang, sure, it doesn't have a catalytic converter. Sure, go ahead, go right ahead. We used to pour transmission oil right in the carburetors to clean engines out back in those days, but not anymore. You can't do it on a modern car. Well, you shouldn't. Well, as I told you, they've been making Jeeps worse. First Fiat took over, now Stellantis. Now they have defrosters that, guess what, won't defrost in the winter. Chrysler are calling almost 200,000 Jeep Wranglers and Grand Cherokees. And why don't the defrosters work? Guess what? Another computer failure. They're putting too much computer crap into these cars. Turns out that a hybrid control processor, it's called HPP, has a software error that can cause defrosting and defogging system to not work. So, of course, if your defog doesn't work in the winter and fogs up, you might get in a wreck. And their solution is, guess what? They're going to update the software for this hybrid controller processor. Who knows if that's going to fix it? It could be the processor's just wrong, right? As per usual, they're not going to replace the processor that costs too much money. They're just going to update software and hope that it fixes it so the defroster works. Now, this is rotten to the core, right? One, they should replace them, which they're not. They're just going to reprogram them, and they say that's going to fix it, right? But they said it worked when they sold you the car in the first place, right? And these are 2022 to 2024 Jeeps. Pretty new vehicles, right? But instead of replacing it, we'll reprogram it. Who's to say that's going to actually fix it, right? The defroster doesn't defrost because of computer software. Why the heck do we have computer software running a defroster? You know, they used to have knobs you turn. Heat, defrost, face, right? Pretty simple. The knob would pull a lever that would move it to blow the bottom, the middle, or the top. Why this has to be all computerized and software operates in it is beyond me. They got so carried away with themselves, and they can't even do that right. Well, I just can't believe the nonsense that people are putting out with electric vehicles. Here's an electric camper. It's called the Coast. It's a solar electric trailer, and this guy who wrote about it says its quality is undeniable. Okay, people, listen to this. Even I can't believe this nonsense. The Model 1 solar electric trailer made by AeroBuild, their founder and CEO, Brian Fuente, is doing so in a manner that is optimized and affordable without any compromise. You can see, there's the trailer. The guy's pulling it with the truck, right? They call it affordable, right? Let's scroll through the story, all right? And what does it say at the very end? Coast Model 1 trailer is available to order now and starts at $129,900 for just a trailer. You don't get the truck that pulls it, right? Just a trailer. Oh, it's got solar panels on it. They're building them just on the street over there in Nashville. Well, there's a lot of money in Nashville, right? So maybe they're just figuring, there's a lot of rich people in Nashville. They want to go camping in an RV. They don't care if they spend 130 grand for a solar trailer, right? I just can't stop laughing when these people say, whoa, we're building this affordable trailer. Who the heck can afford a $130,000 trailer? You know how many hotel rooms you can get with swimming pools you can rent for years and years for that kind of money, right? Totally amazes me, especially when you see the restriction upon it. You get a trailer, you think, all the ads, you see the ads, there's the trailer and your family. You're out on the lake all by yourself. No, you aren't. The only place you can park those things is with all the other trailers in the trailer yards, right? And you're stuck with all those other people. It's not freedom. It's basically, well, you got yourself a little mobile home and you got to stay in a mobile home areas, right? And $129,000. They start at that. They're really affordable now, people. I just can't help but laugh at this electric stuff. And this was in one of these online magazines because it's a solar trailer with solar panels and la-da-da-da, right? So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.